Hello, welcome. This is the Hugo and the Boss podcast at the B8 Q2 convention here in the lovely Ritz-Carlton Las Colinas outside of Dallas. And I have today absolutely wonderful opportunity to get to know Cheryl Snapp Conner. Cheryl, welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate being here.
Thank you. So, wanted to know, how long have you been with BA and how did you wind up?
8 years.
8 years.
It was a recommendation from a fellow entrepreneur in Salt Lake City. I had been making a presentation and I guess he liked what he heard, thought I should join. Ironically, it was Rene Rodriguez, but
okay.
He's not here anymore and I'm not sure why. Speaking Roses is his company. And
Okay.
I think he's done very well, but I appreciate the recommendation.
And Speaking Roses was the name of the company. So
Yes.
Does that have to deal? So now I've got to ask you about what you do because I know it's PR, public
Yes,
relations.
it is.
So is he in the business as well?
I guess you could say he was in the communications business with that company because it was a way of raising roses that would have a message that appeared on the rose itself as it grew, like dye or something that came through. And so they were speaking roses.
Fascinating. Well, that's okay. We're going to make a note. That'll be a topic for the next podcast, how you put that all
That's
together.
how I met him. We did the
Yeah.
public relations or some of it for that company. But then there was an augmented reality company he was working on at the time he made the recommendation to me.
Okay.
And I haven't kept track of that one, but I assume he's doing well.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. And then you still out in, were you visiting Salt Lake City or were you living there at the time?
I was living in Salt Lake,
Okay.
actually for decades until I moved back home and got married 4 years ago.
Fantastic.
Now it's Boise, Idaho.
Boise. And that's home for you.
That's home. That's where I grew up.
Oh, wow.
That's where Dean grew up, my husband.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah, we were middle school sweethearts.
Oh, isn't that
We got
interesting?
reconnected decades later.
So middle school sweethearts, then did you go off in separate high schools or college? How did it?
He moved partway through high school and
Okay.
then he wrote to me and came back and visited a few times. But later high school, when I got to be dating someone, I thought, that's probably not cool to have a boyfriend and a pen pal. So I ended up breaking up with him. Biggest mistake of my life. We saw each other for 5 minutes in college and I was engaged to be married and just did not realize at the time, but I guess he'd been pretty devastated that he found that out and it put him into a depression. But both of us married, but found ourselves single later in life and decades later. But he built his companies in Alaska. So that made it harder too, you don't run into people that far.
Yeah,
north.
exactly.
Yes.
Well, I mean, now that's a pen pal. So Anchorage,
Exactly.
was it Anchorage, Alaska, right? Yeah.
Valdez and then Anchorage. Yes.
Well, hey, you're together now.
Yes, we are.
That's fantastic. Fantastic. So tell me about your company.
Okay.
And well, actually, let's go back. Like, how did you get started into PR? What was it? Because I've seen your work on some of our Wednesday town halls and calls, and you're solid. I mean, you're just,
Thank you.
you're as solid as far as public relations goes. So what got you going in that pathway?
It was fortuitous. I really always liked writing and language, and I went through the AP English, and in fact, Stan Padgett and I have something in common. Both of us challenged out of our first year of college.
Interesting.
I had CLEP credits.
Okay.
And so I started college as a sophomore. But there were 21 credits. 11 of them were in English, and I considered that too important to gloss over.
Sure.
So I emphasized it. And so I graduated with a degree in family resource management, but a minor in English. The minor in English professionally saved my bacon. I thought I would be a stay-at-home mom, but life went other ways. And when it was necessary for me to go to work, I became an editor for a writing team that was publishing work. It was for IBM. They were publishing work that was written by Jostens.
Okay.
And I was part of that editorial team. And then when that phase ended, I landed at a company called Novell, if you know who they are.
Oh, yes.
Market leader, right place,
Yes.
right time. I was employee 325. And
Interesting.
yeah. And in fact,
So that was before they went public and everything else.
I was there. Yeah. The IPO, 4 acquisitions.
Sure.
I was hired as a technical writer and within 90 days was made manager of PR.
Wow.
And so I ran with it, and it was not like an employee position. It was like being a company founder from day one, except I wasn't at the helm. I was just holding on to the roller coaster and learning as I went.
Right.
But it went really, really well. But several years in, I realized I didn't own myself, and I had 3 little boys. So I decided painfully that I would need to take a step aside and that I would just freelance from home, and, tearfully made the decision, went home and tripled my income.
Well,
overnight.
I'm not shocked at all. I was wondering when the transition was coming from mom to like go for it crazy entrepreneur, and that's what did it right there.
But it wasn't, I've never aspired to be a CEO. It was just what I needed to do, given the culture for women at that time.
Yeah.
I'm just not a kind of fighter. If something doesn't go well, I'm one to say, well, okay, what else can I do? That's not working. How can I get over that hurdle? And owning my own company was that route.
Yes, exactly. Because you needed to have the flexibility, right?
Yes.
And everything
I
else.
did.
And you were on your own. Now, your first clients, were they in the software space?
They were. They were all in
Okay.
technology.
Perfect.
They were companies that knew me through the work I'd been doing at Novell. When they found out Novell's PR lead was available, that was an instant yes.
Yeah.
And so I also had to learn on the fly. That's a much different thing. When you are a market leader, PR is like managing a moving train that is going to get to its destination with or without you, and you want it to go well. But these were startup companies, maybe compatible software programs. And so getting the attention of people when it was a startup and not known, that was a different process. I thought I invented press tours. I didn't, but I just thought, okay, we're going to have to go to where they are, find out who the reporters are, who are key, get to where they are. And so if you can imagine, the editorial cycle was 90 days.
That's quite a long time.
Yeah. So, that's a long payoff.
Yeah.
For this work that you're investing before you see the results. And it mattered. Mitch Russo, a single review made his company and his exit in the first company he started.
Isn't that fantastic?
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it's crazy.
And we've gone from there. So you could see, even if I had gone through university as a PR major, we're having to invent the road underneath us regardless, every day that we're alive.
That's so well stated, because that's a tale for business owners in all industries just being affected. I mean, I too was around for the .com days and stuff like that. That's why I was in technology, information technology as well, from the networking side. So just know it too well. I lived in San Francisco, so know it very, very well what you're talking about. And onto that too, as a mom, growing up the business and everything else, were your clients, and you were in Salt Lake City at the time, correct? Area?
In that area, yes.
Yeah. And that itself, as we know, is kind of like a secret technology center.
Oh, yes.
A big
Silicon Slopes, we call it.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. I haven't heard that in a long time.
Yeah.
But in your clients, though, they weren't just in Silicon Slopes.
They were not.
They were.
One of my first clients ended up becoming my first business partner.
Interesting. Okay.
This client was doing a print server.
Okay.
As a business,
Okay.
but then because it wasn't yet profitable, he was also doing marketing consulting. Well, what he came to realize was that every company he compelled with marketing, the marketing didn't mean anything till it was communicated and executed into the world. So they all needed PR.
Of course.
And so he at that point just said, how about we become partners? Well, that meant that for a time there were 3 businesses under one roof, because I was doing PR. I was doing the PR we were doing jointly, and he was doing his own marketing things. So we ultimately combined all of that into just one entity. But there was a time when in my Orem, Utah home, we had a hub of 11 people working out of the bonus room.
Oh my goodness. So instead of the garage, the proverbial garage of Silicon Valley and Silicon Slopes, it's the great room. It's the bonus room. It's a slight different take on that. Interesting. So what year was that when you started?
That company started in 88, 89.
Yeah.
And then went 7 years. And the reason I left it was that the other founder, then he wanted to be CEO. Mm-hmm. And so he made an offer that he thought was quite generous, that he would buy 15% of my shares. And he'd calculated, he knew the amount of my mortgage on my house, and it was enough to pay off my home. So he said, I will do this, and I'll pay you this amount that would be enough to pay off your mortgage. And I declined. And that didn't go over well.
Yeah.
That, it was not a multiple choice question. He really wanted to, by rights, be the CEO. Well, I knew at that point, it was somebody with quite a dominant personality, that it would make me someone's employee with no upward route. And this was an individual that when something displeased him, everybody knew who was on the top of the bad list. And I had just earned myself the permanent role when I declined that offer. So the silver lining on it was that I lasted 2 years. Anyone else who'd been in that spot, it was 2 to 5 months. I lasted 2 more years. I was terrified. It was not because I was trying to. I was just terrified of the alternatives.
Sure.
But
well, yeah, of course, because again, you're a mom, and you got
that's correct.
You've got this is the mom career and the PR career. Yeah.
I learned the sixth gear that impossible is a lot higher bar than you think it is. I've had to go into that mode too many times, but it is nice to know that it's at your disposal. Yeah. That you have an option other than failure. It's, work to death maybe, or nearly, but I made it through. And that determination really helped me when I inevitably needed to break out on my own. But as acquisitions go, you'll love this story because I know your expertise in helping people manage exits. Yeah. Well, I didn't have a Hugo at that time. So, there was like a fair agreement, but the attorney helping me, he just said, this isn't going to go to completion. You just need to know right now. And I was so burned out that I went into it understanding and knowing, but he just said, there is no contract on earth that is stronger than human nature. And that contract will not see its way to completion because I needed to relinquish the stock immediately. Right. And it didn't, but I was in a situation then, I was married, but that was a tough route too. And when that came apart, I was not even in the room. That was a kind of a low point in my life because these two individuals, they were at war over me, but it was dollar signs on both sides of the table. Neither one of them had any regard for my value and contribution as a human being. And you were not with collaborative people. No. And from my interaction with you, here at BA, collaboration is just everything for you. That is everything. It's your brand. Yeah, so, that was, I kind of joked and said, well, if I ever have another exit, I'm at least going to buy myself a dress. But I wasn't part of that negotiation. So I was very literally owned. And ultimately that didn't work. And I changed my life in a major way. But I really appreciate the difference in a way that maybe not everyone can. Correct. Because of the lived experience that it took to get to that level. And it's something that you can, as you share with the rest of us, if anyone's going through that right now, or hit them off the path. So, hey, you're going in this direction. Absolutely. So then what was next? Because obviously your company that you have now, then it's yours now on your own that it is today. Yeah. How did you get there? What was the first step after you got rid of the toxic? After toxicity was over, what was the next step? I joined two partners who were in graphic design. Mm-hmm. And so they had a design shop going. Okay. And actually they were doing the design work for my then husband's startup. Ah, okay. And we had a very good fit. And so we became partners. And that company was Meservy Wing Snap. Meservy? Meservy. It was with 3 last names. Meservy Wing Snap, MWS. Okay, gotcha. So we never had an argument among the 3 of us. It was a wonderful, wonderful partnership. But then when the .com bust came, the graphic work all went in-house. And all that was left was the PR. Right. So we, out of necessity, needed to go our 3 directions. But that left me and a core team of 4 people, but we had $60,000 a month in revenue. So that was something. Great way to restart, right? So we restarted. Yeah. But one of those individuals, one of those 4 was very domineering And so I worked through that partnership as long as I could. And when I realized I couldn't, that was not an argument. I just said, this isn't going to work. So I think we need to divide our interests, and, the clients probably will divide themselves. And if there's a consideration one way or the other. Mm-hmm. And so we did that. And my side took off. The other side didn't.
And that's why we're here today. So,
exactly. But that became SnappConner PR. And that's what I've done ever since. We're going on 20 years.
Congratulations. Mm-hmm. Now, in Boise, Idaho, right?
That's where I am, but we're still headquartered in Salt Lake.
Salt Lake, good.
So I moved back home to help care for my mother, but that was post-pandemic. If the pandemic had not happened, I would not be where I am now.
In what way?
Because I wanted to be there to care for my mother and be close to her. I could not have done that remotely. You do not normally find a CEO and founder living in another location than the company itself.
Yes.
But I do have a very, very strong president partner,
right,
who remains in Utah. Still, that would not have been possible. But there were years that I lived on that I-15 freeway, up and down the freeway, client meetings, and then would go home with the action list of everything I committed during the day and get the actual work done.
Sure. Absolutely. Wow. Yeah. I actually did have a client that she was in the same situation. Yeah. Again, family.
Yeah.
They're younger. And she wound up going to, it was formed in Michigan. Uh-huh. And she wound up on the East Coast in Connecticut.
Right.
But she had a really strong team.
Still leading a Michigan organization.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So you did the same thing. And again, you get there with collaboration. Right?
We do.
And so now I know your leadership style too. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So today, what's a day like, or what's a month like in the world of the company?
In my company, things have really evolved. And essentially, effectively, my team works as the fractional comms team.
Oh,
for key companies.
Okay.
Yes, for Chang.
Okay.
For Azure Printed Homes, and for Hydrogeni. And in fact, of those three key accounts, only Hydrogeni was not a BA connection.
Yeah.
So I don't really have a business development arm in the company. Things they grow out of synergies. And so if you give it, the fits manifest themselves and you proceed on them. Well, functionally, for the finances of the business, those three accounts, they're it. And I have equity in all three of those companies.
Oh, okay. All right.
And so we support ourselves plus the equity. And then the others accounts that ebb and flow are really an outgrowth of the kind of needs for the clients.
Right.
Where we can design something custom for them. We're not a templated process.
Okay.
But they're templated aspects. They're things that have enough common ground that we know what to do. We have rules and guides that we know are effective to follow. But so it's a long, slow succession because the president is in the process of becoming the helm of the agency. But at that point, we may be absorbed by one of the three companies
that are your clients right now.
That are the clients right now.
Yeah.
Because we don't really have IP or a product to sell. So it's not a classic acquisition target.
Sure.
But there are ways to work this through. And having the equity is the way that we can boost it beyond just an hour's work for an hour's pay.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So what's next?
This transition, we're determined to make a very, very positive and smooth one.
Okay.
I've got 2.5 years until I technically could retire. I don't know that I'll ever fully retire.
You're not.
But, I kind of live for the day that I don't have a payroll and a team that I feel the responsibility for. And when the core power team has been together for 17 years in some cases, that's not just something you can say, well, this has been fun and I'll see you. That's not the world we're in either. And so I feel very high necessity to make certain that the path for the remaining team members is a good one as well. And not only that it's positive, but that they have choices, not choices made for them.
Sure. Well, again, you learn from what people did to you. And
that's how I lead. I tend,
collaborator.
Yes. Yeah. I lead the way I would want to be led. Yeah. And not necessarily, that wouldn't have made me a good prospect for a growth company CEO.
Yeah. You lead from the front. Yeah. It shows automatically. I mean,
hey, you got me figured out.
No, I'm far from that. You're far more complex than that, Cheryl. That's fascinating. Thank you for sharing this story.
Thank you.
You know, I hope anyone who's got a chance to hear and listen, maybe going through some of these things right now, you know, especially when family is involved.
Yes.
And, you know, that just from my experience and the clients there are still differences between men and women, and in family. Yes, the clients that I've had that have families tend to just slight different awareness and how things are going as opposed for men. So that presents its own set of there's challenges on both sides when you're going through transitions like you're talking about. But at the end, yours is a special, unique one, and there isn't like, you know, a club that you can just go to talk to. Yeah. So, you know, God bless you. That's fantastic that you've done. And I hope other folks that are watching now can learn something.
BA has been a big part of that.
Yeah. How so?
Well, the collaborations, the connections, Azure Printed Homes, that was a recommendation from Mitch Russo.
Yeah.
So, and now Gene Eidelman, he's a BA member as well.
Yeah.
And producing more good things for the membership here. He's gotten, a big piece of his investment has come from this collaboration and from people here. So it's hard to say. I find it hard to name any other place where you would meet the right caliber of people, so many of them with a collaborative mindset, and get the chance to make things happen.
Yeah, very true. Well, thank you. I think it's a great way to end right here. Thank you again for sharing what you shared. There's some folks would have a hard time, you know, what you did. And I'm glad that things are just going in the right direction for you.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for watching and listening. This is Hugo and the Boss podcast at the Q2 2026 BA convention. Thank you.